Part 105. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 1041. Let alone Xiaoming's greed, he actually misunderstood the Magic Planet game system. Theoretically, the hidden task The Glory of Ninjutsu can reward the completer with a high-level puppet or an item of the same level. The type of rewarded items depends mainly on the direction of ninjutsu development chosen by the player. If Xiaoming did not ask Sarutobi Suzuki to study puppetry, the reward would naturally become something else. The key is that Xiaoming completed the task too early. He himself was not prepared. The system wanted to reward him with a high-level puppet, but he didn't even know puppetry, so he couldn't use it even if he was rewarded. According to the internal rules of the system, the reward automatically became a full set of knowledge of sand ninja puppetry and the method of making ordinary puppets. The puppetry technology of the red sand scorpion is a secret technique. Xiaoming did not get it. The deceased only got the secret book, not the automatic learning. So Xiaoming still needs to learn. Of course, these two secret books are game props, and Xiaoming can directly use the secret book of puppetry on any of his characters. This character will learn the relevant knowledge and skills. However, although the game character has learned it, Xiaoming, as the operator, cannot learn it all at once. He also needs to experience and comprehend the skills in the process of the game character using the skills, which is too slow. So Xiaoming simply did not use it directly, but prepared to study these two secret books carefully. After learning it, he will use it on a certain character. Xiaoming is very fast at reading books. First, he memorized the entire secret book in a hurry, and then slowly comprehended and studied it. After Xiaoming memorized it all, it was already the afternoon of September 5th. The area of Xiaohuotang Water Fort is guarded by Sarutobi Suzuki's ninjas and assisted by the Drunkard Navy. Xiaoming feels relieved. Next, the development direction of the dead in the strategic map will be transferred to the Annan area. Xiaoming entrusted the marching to the intelligent program Xiao Wu'er. I quit the role of the informant. Returning to the personal space in the Magic Planet, Xiaoming suddenly discovered that several consciousness transmission channels leading to the three star systems of Yanhuang were actually open at the same time. They were Xiaoming on Quafu star in the Huangdi star system, Zhang Xiaoliang in the Mizu Scientific Research Space Station, Xiaoming on Nuhua star in the Yandi star system, and Xiaoming in the Chu star system. There was also Zhang Xiaoliang in the Scientific Research Space Station. This body had long been sent to the Mizu Scientific Research Space Station by the military. But it was not open to Xiaoming to connect. Xiaoming didn't know what the scientific research team led by Major General Lu Ziu could research on a body. Now that it is finally open, we should go and take a look. In addition, Quafu Star is also worth a look. Simply two-pronged approach, Silver Xiaoming went to Quafu Star, and Green Xiaoming stopped practicing and went to the Mizu space station. Almost at the same time, Xiaoming and Zhang Xiaoliang opened their eyes and came out of their respective game cabins/sleep cabins. The difference is that Quafu has the same gravity as Pangu. Xiaoming sat up and climbed out of the game cabin. It felt normal. Zhang Xiaoliang opened the door of the game cabin, pushed his back hard, and floated out of the game cabin. Xiaoming hadn't felt this weightless feeling for a while. Before Xiaoliang could see the surrounding situation clearly, Cecilia Jane, who was waiting next to him, came over with a happy face. She hugged Zhang Xiaoliang directly. Although this is a replica, Xiaoming can see the soul inside very clearly. Now the one operating this replica is Cecilia herself. Xiaoming and her haven't seen each other for dozens of days. When they saw each other, they hugged each other and felt very warm in their hearts. At the beginning, the relationship between the two was not so good. The military sent Cecilia as an adjutant to take care of all matters around Zhang Xiaoliang, and also to monitor him. But after a long time, human nature was revealed. This kind girl has formed a deep friendship with Xiaoming. The main reason is that neither of them has any bad intentions, at least they don't have the idea of hurting others. And Cecilia has a unique temperament that attracts others. This is not the kind of attraction between men and women, but the kind of attraction between friends. Getting along with her makes people feel particularly at ease, rather than passionate and impulsive. As Xiaoming's own strength becomes stronger and stronger, this feeling becomes more and more profound. This feeling comes from Cecilia's soul. When others operate this replica, Xiaoming does not have this feeling. He believes that the military should know Cecilia's characteristics very well, and sending her to be his adjutant is also taking advantage of this trait. Even the many scientific researchers who were observing on the side looked at the two with an ant's smile. They also know Cecilia very well. Even those with a little dark heart will not have any unbearable thoughts. And not long after, in the eyes of others, the figures of the two were blocked by the dense layers of light spirits that swarmed in. The same thing happened to Xiaoming. When he came out of the game cabin, no one greeted him. After leaving the game cabin and walking out of the transport ship, he was surrounded by a large group of light spirits as soon as he took a look at the general situation of the Quafu Star camp. At this time, about 1/3 of the reserve members of the 9th dispatch team were in the game cabin, and the other 2/3 were visiting the camp. Many people's eyes were attracted by Xiaoming. More than half of the prototypes of these reserve replicas have been recruited by various forces due to various routines. From time to time, they will connect their consciousness and operate their own replicas. There are several reasons why these people are willing to come here. First, to make money. Complete the tasks given by their boss and get rewards. Second, for novelty. It is a rare experience to enjoy the natural scenery of another planet. Third, for the country. Since this is an alien colony developed by the New Han Kingdom, every citizen will be more or less proud and proud. It is also an honor for every citizen of the New Han Kingdom to be able to participate in this construction. Fourth, for youth. Everyone's real age is probably the same as Xiaoming, about 40 years old. The replicas are all in their 20s. Who doesn't want to stay in a young body for a while? Of course, Xiaoming is an exception. He has become a transcendent, not only has a very long lifespan, but also a physical condition that exceeds his youth. The replica is not as strong and healthy as the original body. The military estimated that many people would want to see the Quafu Star personally. So they considerately placed all the replicas that natural people might operate in the game cabin waiting. After all, only when the replica is in the game cabin can natural people log in. In this regard, only Xiaoming is different. His game cabin has been strengthened by source energy. Xiaoming can log in at any time Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 1042. In the eyes of the military, this time Xiaoming and Zhang Xiaoliang attracted the light spirits, but the number was a little more and the time was a little longer, which was not much different from before. What was unexpected was that, in the past, the light spirits only appeared beside Xiaoming, and disappeared and left. Now, the light spirits gathered around Xiaoming, and after disappearing in front of others, they did not leave, but entered Xiaoming's Kunlun. If nothing unexpected happens in the future, the light spirits that enter Kunlun will rarely appear in front of people. This is because, starting 3 days ago, the relationship between Xiaoming and the light spirits has undergone a fundamental change. In the past, the two sides were friends and helped each other. Every day Xiaoming feeds the light spirits with source energy, and the light spirits will also let Xiaoming wander in the Protoss domain for an hour or so to learn various knowledge and skills. However, 3 days ago, my master Acha made a wish with the infinite gloves and gave Hong Xiaoming a body of the Protoss. 1.5 million years after the fall of the Protoss, Hong Xiaoming was reborn as the only remaining descendant. He is the king of the Protoss. Therefore, Xiaoming inherited all the heritage of the Protoss and completely owned the entire Protoss domain. Theoretically, from then on, all the light spirits were Xiaoming's subordinates. However, the light spirits had simple minds and could only continue to do the simple work they had before, and could not do complex work. Since Red Xiaoming became the God King, the light spirits began to immigrate to Xiaoming's Kunlun. This place is just right for them to survive. Originally, the light spirits were spread throughout the Yellow Emperor Galaxy. The Yellow Emperor Galaxy is not small in scope, and is not much different from the solar system. Therefore, at the beginning, only a small number of light spirits located near Quafu Star were able to settle in Kunlun. The other 80% of the light spirits are still on their way to Quafu Star. Later, Red Xiaoming went to the underworld, and the light spirits who had already arrived could only wait for Xiaoming to come back on Quafu Star. Those who had not arrived yet continued on their way. Today, by chance, Silver Xiaoming and Green Xiaoming both came to the Yellow Emperor Galaxy. Silver Xiaoming operated Xiaoming, and they were on Quafu Star. Countless light spirits gathered here. Green Xiaoming controlled Zhang Xiaoliang. There were not too many light spirits nearby, but there were some. As soon as the two Xiaomings appeared, these light spirits gathered together like small fish in a pond. After sticking with Xiaoming and Xiaoliang for a while, they entered Kunlun one after another. Xiaoming could imagine that after a while, when all the light spirits entered Kunlun, there would probably be no more light spirits in the Yellow Emperor Galaxy. I don't know what the military can study. Since becoming the God King, Xiaoming has a deeper understanding of light spirits. He understands that the research on light spirits by the New Han Kingdom is meaningless and a waste of effort. Light spirits were created by the masters of the gods 1.5 million years ago using the power of the mind gem/Fuxi Qin. It is not something that the New Han Kingdom can understand at all with its technological level. I think I should persuade them to stop. Unfortunately, I am a small person with little influence. Even if I use my identity as a ghost messenger to make suggestions, I guess people won't take it seriously. Maybe they will even say, "You are a ghost messenger, just take care of the affairs of the underworld, and don't interfere in the affairs of the world." In fact, this is also the truth, but in order to prevent the motherland from wasting precious manpower and material resources, Xiaoming decided to find an opportunity to remind him. Do your best and leave it to fate. More than half an hour later, the light spirits around Zhang Xiaoliang have almost been cleared. But on Quafu Star, Xiaoming's containment work is still far from over. The light spirits are still a large area of crowded. There is no way, Zhang Xiaoliang is in space, and the light spirits are just passing by. The density of light spirits is much less than that on Quafu Star. There were too many light spirits before, and Cecilia felt it was inconvenient to speak. Until this moment, she saluted Zhang Xiaoliang with a heroic military salute. "Lieutenant, long time no see." "Nice, oh." A figure rushed in, his steps were unsteady, and he stumbled and knocked Cecilia out. A rather handsome middle-aged face appeared in front of Xiaoliang. It was Major General Lu Ziyu. His official rank was several levels higher than Xiaoliang's, and Xiaoliang quickly saluted, "General." "Wu." Lu Ziyu's hands had already held Xiaoliang's face, looking left and right, rubbing and pinching, and even pulling out several of Xiaoliang's hair. "It turns out it's really true. I thought they were lying to me. Kid, how did you do it? Have you encountered strange things before? Like an old beggar or something?" This nephew of Emperor Lu is actually in his 60s or 70s. Because he is in the royal family, he has used some treasures to prolong his life. He can have such a middle-aged face. He has a bit of the stubbornness of an old child, plus a bit of the concentration and simplicity of a scientific researcher. Xiaoming can see that he didn't believe that anyone could attract light spirits before. It was only because his good niece Cecilia said so that he had to believe it. But as a scientific researcher, if he didn't see it with his own eyes, even if he said he believed it, he would still have doubts in his heart. As the general director of the Special Research Department, he had seen the light spirit dozens of times, and he had never seen the light spirit interested in anyone. In fact, being able to see the light spirit dozens of times means that the light spirit is interested in him. Unfortunately, his level is not high enough and he didn't sense it. This time Lu Xiao saw it with his own eyes, and it couldn't be fake. The already strong desire for knowledge encouraged Lu Huang nephew to go crazy again. He had been wandering around just now, and wanted to come over, but he was worried that his appearance would cause adverse effects. He tried hard to hold back and didn't dare to get close. Seeing that the last light spirit disappeared, he rushed over in 2 steps, and couldn't stop his momentum, and knocked his niece away. The Major General held Zhang Xiaoliang's face, looked up and down, rubbed it, and carefully observed every pore, which made Xiaoming very helpless. But he didn't dare to push him away, who let him be several levels higher. Just kidding, General Lu Xiao is the treasure of the New Han Kingdom, and Xiaoming has always been full of respect for such scientists. It's nothing to be pinched on the face a few times, anyway, it's the face of a replica. I don't feel sorry. Uncle, let go, don't be like this. I don't know if Cecilia feels sorry for Zhang Xiaoliang, or is afraid that Uncle Lu will embarrass her. Hurry back and pull the Major General away. However, she could pull away one nephew of Emperor Lu, but she couldn't stop the others. The group of researchers led by Lu Xiao had the same problem as him. When they saw their leader being pulled away, they rushed over in a swarm. Fortunately, these people didn't touch or search. They pushed several instruments over and hurriedly pasted a bunch of thread ends on Xiaoliang. Over there, Major General Lu Xiao was still shouting and commanding randomly, and Cecilia gave Xiaoliang a sympathetic and helpless look. Stopping Uncle Lu was already her limit, so she could only wish for the best. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 1043. In fact, it is not difficult to deal with the researchers. Just give up resistance and let them deal with it. It is just a replica anyway. But Lu Xiaoming's soul cannot retreat. If the soul leaves, it will be meaningless for others to study an empty shell. Lu Xiaoming simply ignores his body. While talking to Cecilia, he recalls the content of puppetry in his mind. These knowledge have just been memorized not long ago, and it is really important to study them as soon as possible. At the same time, Xiaoming also has to deal with some information from Nuwa Star. Remember the native of Nuwa Star, the 7th level undead mage Brahmin? Xiaoming's 7-star shadow clone was left in his main city. So Xiaoming sent out many shadow clones to steal from masters in various places in the city. But this matter has just started, and stealing is not easy. The concept of time of the undead is too procrastinated. In human society, if you want to learn from a master, you have to work as a handyman for a few years, serving tea and water, and then the master will start to teach you skills. It's even worse in the society of the dead. The things you do are similar, but the timeline will be very long. It's not surprising to do odd jobs for decades or hundreds of years. Xiaoming doesn't have that much time to waste here, and it's not that he doesn't have the time, but he just doesn't want to waste it. Xiaoming's approach is to use the shadow clone as a bridge, and use telepathy to steal the skills of those necromancers when they are not very vigilant. Although this trick is effective, you need to be more careful when using it. First, because you are using skills indirectly, the degree of concealment must be discounted. Second, the profession of necromancer is an expert in mental power. If you are not careful, you will be discovered. Although Xiaoming is a clone here, there is nothing to be afraid of, but he can't let Brahmin lose face after all. Don't turn against each other if you can. Therefore, Xiaoming's stealing behavior is very careful, and he stole back some scattered information about Nuwa Star and the necromancer magic intermittently. Xiaoming also dealt with it in a scattered manner. The first time he came to the Mizu Research Space Station, Xiaoming gave enough face to Major General Lu Ziu and his adjutant, and stayed for a few hours before leaving. He returned to his private world to continue his practice. Before leaving, he said to Lu Huang nephew that he felt that studying light spirits was useless. Obviously, no one listened. Several researchers also showed contemptuous eyes of what do you know. When Green Xiaoming left, Silver Xiaoming on Quafu Star had not withdrawn. Since he came once, he must collect all the light spirits near Quafu Star before leaving, right? It's not right to leave after collecting only half of them. Although with the emotional intelligence and IQ of light spirits, they probably don't care about this kind of thing, and they can't even think of this level. But Xiaoming can't just bully the honest people because they are stupid, right? He still obediently received all the nearby light spirits into Kunlun. When he finished, it was already dinner time at around 7 p.m. Xiaoming discovered that the new Han Space Army was very particular about the location of the camp. There was no time difference between this camp and the new Han. The timetable of Pangu Star was also completely applicable here. The rotation frequency of this generation of Quafu Star and Pangu Star was almost the same. As long as the rotation period was the same, this planet must have a location that met the timetable of the new Han Kingdom. Just choose the right time zone. Unlike the previous space fleet, the timetable was a hard rule. There was no reference to the rising and setting of the sun. It was different here, looking at the sunset that had already appeared on the horizon and the sun that was about to disappear. Yin Xiaoming's mood suddenly relaxed a lot, and he was too lazy to quit for a while. Anyway, it was past 7 o'clock, and the main game was suspended at 8 o'clock. There was nothing to do when he went back now. Let's stay on Quafu Star for a stroll. Xiaoming's stroll certainly couldn't let Xiaoming go out for a stroll. The rules in the military camp didn't allow it. Far outside the camp, 3 7-stars shadow clones and a dozen ordinary shadow clones appeared and dispersed in all directions. When it comes to appreciating the scenery and observing the world, Xiaoming's clone does not give Xiaoming the same feeling as the clone. At least the physical properties of the clone are better than the clone, so the feeling is more sharp and accurate. In the afterglow of the setting sun, Xiaoming stood alone, quietly watching the sun of Quafu Star falling into the sky bit by bit. When the sunset was over, he was no longer alone. Many people stood around him and watched the sunset with him. To ask why everyone didn't watch the sunset earlier, but had to watch it with Xiaoming? The answer is that Xiaoming was crowded with light spirits before, which was even more amazing, and everyone was busy watching the excitement. The sun disappeared, the street lights in the camp were lit, and everyone looked at each other and were a little speechless. Among these people were people from Team 33, other teams, and even the original members of the camp. These new reserve troops, because they haven't experienced life on the ground for several months, are touched. What do the original members of the camp have to be sad about? Haven't they gotten used to it yet? Then again, even these newcomers haven't really seen the natural scenery for several months. You have to know that most of their original bodies are on Pangu Star, and they don't operate the replicas 24 hours a day. Especially when the dispatch team landed, most people were not allowed to log in. The consciousness transmission channel was not officially opened until today. That is to say, they were all at home yesterday. Today, they were moved by the sunset on Quafu Star. Humans are really strange creatures. Several girls with weak hearts have already sobbed quietly. Some others, with red eyes, whispered something to their companions. Gradually, the camp gradually became lively. The original leaders of the camp did not immediately stand up to spoil the atmosphere. Let the reservists of the dispatch team indulge for a while. It was almost 9 o'clock before all the newcomers were gathered in the square for a meeting. 60 teams, each with 60 members, led by the captain and instructor, lined up in a neat square. Receive the commander's lecture. There is only one base on Quafu Star for the time being, and the official name is Quafu Star First Base. Very simple. Privately, the base has a strange name called Xiope. It is said that it was named by the highest leader of the base, Lieutenant General Miao Cheng. It is estimated that he is a loyal fan of Romance of the Three Kingdoms. The one who is speaking now is this Lieutenant General. He is a real person sitting in Quafu Star, and he is also the only B-level reincarnation in Xiope base. Looking at his sturdy figure, armor, and the tower shield in his hand, you can tell that he is a warrior, and a defensive one. This profession has high defense and high blood, and is always at the forefront of the battle. But it is the least likely to die. Perhaps it is because of this reason that he has survived and become the highest leader of Xiope base. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 1044. Standing on a high platform in the camp, Lieutenant General Miao Qing shouted to all the 9th wave of dispatch teams. Brothers, in Xiope, I, Lieutenant General Miao Qing, am the boss. Whatever I say, you do. Do you understand? As expected of a B-level warrior, this loud voice and simple and rough rules are completely in line with his image, temperament, and strength. I understand. All the members of the dispatch team couldn't help but shout in response. Although the Lieutenant General's words were rough, they were very encouraging. Okay. Don't worry. I don't have time to deal with you normally. It's the 3 of them who are in charge of you. You 3, come out. Hearing this, the 3 officers jumped in front of Miao Qing and lined up. It was the 3 sea-level reincarnations. These 3 beasts are the famous Xiope pig, deer, and crane 3 heroes. Introduce yourselves. This Lieutenant General was too lazy to introduce his subordinates. Yes. General, the 3 officers answered together. The 3 of them are also real people. One of the male officers, who was of medium height and slightly fat, was the first to greet everyone with a smile. My last name is Zhu, and my name is Dong Hai. I am a colonel and I am responsible for all the logistics of the base. You can come to me for all your life needs in the future. He Yu Fan, colonel, in charge of scientific research. A tall and thin man spit out 8 words coldly. The last one was a petite woman whose appearance could be given 85 points. My name is Lu Yanan, with the rank of Major General. I am in charge of all matters related to combat in the base. I am your direct superior. As soon as these words came out, the sound of whispering came from under the podium. It's no wonder that such a petite woman became the head of the combat department. How can it not be strange? After all, most people in the world still judge people by their appearance. Others are not Xiaoming, and they can't tell at a glance that this little girl is the strongest among the 3 heroes. In the Xiope base, Lu Yanan's strength is second only to Miao Qing. And the degree of danger is even higher. Miao Qing is a shield warrior, good at defense, and his attack power should be limited. Lu Yanan is mainly attacking, and her ability is a type that Xiaoming rarely sees, the Great Sword. Great Sword is a very interesting world. Xiaoming once experienced it in the secret realm of the magic planet. After dying in it, he never encountered this secret realm again. In fact, Xiaoming also encountered the Great Sword world once in the reincarnation world, but that time he just passed by. He was hit by something and flew away directly to the next world. So there is no impression. At this moment, seeing Lu Yanan, in addition to being able to feel her power, it can also be detected that there is a piece of demon flesh and blood in Lu Yanan's body. It is precisely because of this piece of flesh and blood that the Great Sword has extremely strong combat power. In fact, it is equivalent to genetic modification in modern society. But doing so has advantages and disadvantages. While gaining power, there are also unstable factors. Liu Yunan's personality and temper are inevitably affected by the flesh and blood of demons. At this moment, I saw the reserve team members whispering to each other and disrespecting themselves. She didn't waste any words and directly drew her sword and attacked. She cut a long and straight crack in the middle of the reserve team. But no one was hurt. The swordsmanship is really amazing. Fortunately, the square is big enough, otherwise the sword energy would rush out and split the wall. This sword made everyone shut up. Some members of the dispatch team are from the military, and they actually know what a reincarnation is. However, most of the ordinary members are still ordinary people. How could they have seen this? They were so scared that they were silent. The part of the members from the military had to follow the play. Everyone listened obediently to the three heroes who took turns to explain the precautions at the Xiaopei base and the arrangements for everyone. Quafu Star is a pristine planet that has not been polluted by modern industry. The air is fresh, the water is clean, and the scenery is picturesque. Today, the New Han Kingdom has the ability to mine and manufacture machinery in space, and is not very greedy for the mineral resources of Quafu Star. The key is that even if mining, smelting, and manufacturing machinery are carried out on Quafu Star, most of them cannot be sent to space. It makes no sense. What really makes the New Han Kingdom covet Quafu is the unspoiled environment here. It can become a paradise for the people of the New Han Kingdom. Therefore, the New Han Kingdom treats this planet very cautiously. Otherwise, it would have built several industrial bases long ago. You know, the New Han Kingdom can build 3 fortresses in such a dangerous environment as Nuwa Star. Not to mention here, there is no native civilization on Quafu Star so far. No highly intelligent tribes have been found. The New Han Kingdom has no real enemies here. Of course, because this place is full of magical elements after all, there are still powerful monsters. But they are all individuals with well-developed limbs and simple minds, which cannot be considered civilization. Maybe there are highly intelligent monsters here, hiding from humans and not being discovered. It doesn't matter. The New Han Kingdom does not plan to move all the people here. It just plans to build a colony first. It has not yet considered small-scale immigration. No hurry. Even if there are highly intelligent monsters, they and the New Han Kingdom actually have no conflict of interest. But then again, if such an individual is really found, it's hard to say whether the New Han country will capture the other party for research. Xiaoming doesn't know much about the policy of the Xiaopei base. At this stage, the main task of Xiaopei base is to do research. We need to see what plants are suitable for human food, what magical beasts are non-toxic and edible. It would be best if we can find those that can be domesticated. In addition, because the New Han Kingdom does not intend to destroy the environment here, it means that the New Han Kingdom does not intend to eliminate all the magical beasts on Quafu Star. This raises a question. What if the magical beasts rush in and kill ordinary people without destroying them? Humans must let the magical beasts here know how powerful we are and occupy the status of a top predator in the food chain. Only in this way can we truly coexist peacefully with this planet. So Xiaopei base must find a suitable way. Let humans and magical beasts coexist here. How did so many sacrifices come about in the past? It was caused by the attacks of magical beasts. After all, this is someone else's territory. As an invader, it is normal for humans to be resisted by the owner. Of course, this is still in the initial stage. The arrival of the reserve is mainly to strengthen the defense of the base and engage in production work. In short, the reserve is basically the servant of the base. Going out for reconnaissance, scientific research, or hunting are all the work of the regular army. It is not the turn of the reserve army to do it. However, the reserve members do not have to be discouraged. If they show their value, they can naturally transfer to the regular army. Besides, the Xiaopei base is still in its infancy, and the military will continue to send people here in the future. By then, the current batch of reserve troops will have long become the veterans of the base. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 1045. After the general meeting, the middle meeting followed. The captain, instructor, and 12 team leaders and deputy team leaders of each team attended. There were also 700 to 800 people, and the meeting place was still in the square. Ordinary team members returned to their own game cabins. At this meeting, the danger of the monsters on Quafu Star was emphasized, especially the introduction of the relatively powerful monster tribes or individuals nearby. Within a radius of hundreds of miles, the strongest monster is actually a 6th level B-level spider. Theoretically, the Xiaopei base is actually within its territory. However, spider monsters generally do not run around. The hunting range is relatively limited. The degree of danger is not particularly high. For some reason, the Xiaopei base and this big spider have reached a tacit understanding. The two sides coexist peacefully and will not attack each other. When Liu Yinan introduced other animals, such as saber-toothed tigers, velociraptors, etc., he said it very clearly. It's just that when Liu Yinan talked about the spider, he was vague and ambiguous. But he couldn't help but say it. In fact, Xiaoming released a 7-star shadow clone, wearing an invisible suit, and happened to come to the side of the spider at this moment. How could Xiaoming ignore the strongest existence near the Xiaopei base? About 10 kilometers west of the base, there is a mountain towering into the clouds. Inside the belly of the mountain, there is a rather complex karst cave system, and this huge spider lives in the cave. Spider silk spreads throughout the cave, which is simply a huge intelligence system. With these spider silks, the big spider can grasp any movement in the entire cave. There are no dense groups of spiders here, and it does not have countless spiders, and spiders. This big spider is actually a lone ranger. The big spider felt bitter. Do you think I don't want to? Having many soldiers and generals is the privilege of female spiders. I am a male. So there is a complete ecosystem in this huge karst cave network. There are many kinds of animals, and he is just a spider, and he can't eat them all. Other animals have become accustomed to its existence. When Xiaoming saw the spider, he couldn't help but narrow his eyes and twitch his mouth. There was indeed something fishy. The spiritual world of this spider was manipulated. It made it full of kindness towards the human species. Xiaoming didn't need to analyze and judge. The initiator was also here. Just look directly. Wang Yu, decades ago, was a partner with Lieutenant General Miao Cheng. At that time, both of them were major generals in the army, and both were reincarnations. In his 40s, he was in his prime and had outstanding strength. He was selected by the new Han Kingdom Space Army to join the Yanhuang Rise plan. He led the second wave of landing troops and landed on the surface of Quafu Star. The two of them were the chief and deputy commanders. The first wave of landing troops was not well prepared for combat effectiveness, failed to gain a foothold, and was completely wiped out. In the early stages of building the Xiaopei base, they encountered this big spider. Because this karst cave network is very good, the military initially planned to build the base in the karst cave. After a conflict with the big spider, they gave up this idea. However, even though humans built their base on the plains, this spider still holds a grudge. From time to time, it ambushes and attacks the soldiers of the new Han Kingdom near the base. It may also be because it does not want such a strong group to exist nearby, or it thinks that humans taste delicious. How can ordinary soldiers be its opponents? Many of them have been killed. And it is not done yet. From time to time, it will come to attack. Anyway, it is fighting with the Xiaopei base. In desperation, Miao Qing decided to lead all the masters above level D to fight this spider to the death. Wang Yu knew that there was no benefit in doing so. Those who can really fight spiders must be at least level C. And the most troublesome thing is that this is not a boss in the game, waiting for players to destroy it at a fixed location. This big spider is very smart, and it is also very sensitive to danger. It is not a character that can be surrounded and ambushed. And it knows how to avoid the real and attack the fake, and specifically picks enemies weaker than itself. It always avoids in advance when facing a strong person. In addition, due to the geographical advantages in the cave, even if the human side had 2 B-level and a group of C-level and D-level masters, they would not retreat with such a B-level spider. Perhaps, humans can deal with it in the end, but it will definitely cost a huge price. And the danger in this area is not just this spider. There are many other C-level monsters. Once our army's masters are killed or injured too much, what should we do in the future? How to deal with other monsters? Besides, even if this spider dies, the position of the top predator in this area will be vacant. Naturally, there will be wandering predators to fill the position. What should we do if another B-level monster comes at that time? So Wang Yu made a decision to sacrifice himself to subdue this spider. Miao Qing is a B-level shield warrior profession, and Wang Yu is a B-level summoner profession. From a professional point of view, Wang Yu can subdue pets. However, the problem is that manipulating pets requires a high level of mental strength from the summoner. Summoners cannot subdue monsters that are stronger than themselves. They can only subdue monsters that are 1 level lower than themselves as pets. Wang Yu was not qualified to subdue the spider. So he used a very advanced prop and took a chance with his life. In the end, his luck was half and half, good and bad. The good thing was that the prop was used successfully and he really subdued this B-level big spider. The bad thing is that Wang Yu does not have the mental power to control this spider. As soon as he subdued it as a pet, his spiritual world collapsed. Before he died, he left a mental imprint on this pet. It made it full of kindness towards humans. It can be regarded as solving the problem in an alternative way. Strangely, after Wang Yu died, his ghost stayed near the spider because of his obsession. It was also because his ghost did not leave that the mental imprint Wang Yu left on the spider lasted for decades and the effect did not weaken. This is the convenience of Xiaoming as a ghost. Although he has not yet officially taken office, Xiaoming can see part of a ghost's past. Wang Yu is also an admirable soldier. But Xiaoming can't bear to let his soul be bound like this. Although the big spider is sensitive, it can't feel the existence of Xiaoming's 7-star shadow clone. It is really beyond its ability. At this moment, it is snoring. Quietly, a small aperture appeared above the big spider's head. Opposite the aperture is the insect king Lu Xiaoming in the private world. He activated the Earth's resentment and the ability to connect to external nerves. He extended dozens of thin tentacles and collectively pierced into the nerve system of the big spider, forcing the two sides to connect their mental powers. Needless to say, the outcome was natural. In less than 10 minutes, the big spider completely surrendered to Xiaoming. Xiaoming gave him a very unique name, Zhang Wang. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 1046. In fact, Xiaoming has been afraid of insects since he was a child. He is afraid of spiders, centipedes, scorpions, etc., especially those that are hairy and have a lot of legs. When he grew up, he was not so afraid. But he would never dare to reach out to grab them. Sometimes he would hide away in advance when he saw them from a distance. The change happened in the past few months. Xiaoming first took over the eggs of insects and became the master of the insect race. He no longer had any fear of insects. Later, he had tens of thousands of insect-human children, and Xiaoming felt a little familiar with insects. In fact, the insects on Pangostar are not the same as the insect race and insect humans. Among the insect humans, there are indeed individuals with insect genes, such as the North and South Jiao are mantis girls, and Yu Jingjing is a dragonfly girl. But that is because Xiaoming, as the king of insects, plundered the genes of other species. There is no kinship between the two. After taming the giant spider Zhongwang, Xiaoming injected Zhongwang with the insect man evolution needle without hesitation. Of course, the genetic information inside is biased towards humans. Xiaoming still likes the image of insect man with humans, and it is more comfortable to communicate. After evolving into an insect man, Zhongwang became a spider-shaped insect man with 6 legs and 6 arms. Zhongwang, the giant spider, originally had 12 legs. It is the same as the tattoo of the phantom troop. Wu, king, king. I can speak now. Becoming an insect man, speaking for the first time, although stuttering, still made Zhongwang excited. Usually, he has no one to communicate with. The communication between monsters is also very simple. Either make an appointment to fight or hunt. There is no such thing as chatting and gossip. Suddenly he can speak, and he can communicate with Xiaoming. Zhongwang feels that happiness comes too suddenly, and it is a bit unbelievable. Zhongwang has never spoken in his life, and it is actually very difficult to express his thoughts with words suddenly. It is all thanks to the blood of the insect man. He can speak Chinese because the official language of the insect race, in addition to spiritual communication, is Chinese. This is information hidden deep in DNA. It is the fault of the father if he does not teach him well. Since Zhongwang has evolved into an insect human, this 7-star shadow clone has to stay temporarily to teach him to speak. It will probably take some time. This is not something that can be done in a day or two. Of course, insect humans can communicate with each other spiritually. Zhongwang wanted to imitate it because he saw that the humans in Xiaopei base could speak. After Zhongwang was subdued by Xiaoming, the ghost of Wang Yu automatically entered Xiaoming's bright summit, turned to the underworld, and entered the 6 reincarnations. In the state of a ghost, Wang Yu actually only had a little obsession, and he didn't know anything else. There was no way to communicate. Most ghosts are in this state of confusion, and some ghosts don't even have obsession. Xiaoming imagined that the scene of judging ghosts like the King of Hell in film and television dramas did not happen. Before, Xiaoming was able to see his life story through the power of the soul gem. Because he had not yet completed his inauguration as a civil servant in the underworld. Accepting ghosts to reincarnate in the underworld, this set of actions were automatically performed by the soul gem, and Xiaoming was just watching. Moreover, Wang Yu was not the only ghost led into the underworld by Xiaoming. Due to Xiaoming's arrival, many ghosts of dead monsters were also absorbed into Guangmingding and devoted to the 6 reincarnations. This kind of thing has never happened on Pangostar. It puzzled Xiaoming. It seemed that the civil servants in the underworld here were passive and lazy, and they had not received the dead souls for a long time. So many souls were accumulated. Although he was puzzled, Xiaoming did not take it seriously. He was not a formal employee of the underworld yet, so why bother with these idle thoughts? The meeting of Xiaopei base was still going on, and the 3 heroes of Xiaopei continued to explain the precautions in the base to the captains and team leaders. The reserve did not have the power to leave the base, and the base would arrange them to take turns every day. Working in different positions, basically they are all chores. At the same time, routine training is carried out every day to familiarize themselves with the use of various weapons. If there are wild beasts attacking the base, they can be repelled. Most of the monsters on Quafu are low-level monsters, which can be dealt with thermal weapons. High-level monsters are naturally dealt with by masters. Moreover, this is not a game, there is no such thing as monsters attacking the city. After so many years, the monsters know that this place is dangerous, and recently there are very few monsters running near the Xiaopei base. Even if the monsters are herbivorous and not dangerous to humans, they may be hunted as food. It is safer to stay away. In fact, migrating from one planet to another is a very difficult action. The most likely reason for humans to be unable to survive on another planet is the ubiquitous microorganisms in the atmosphere. Things like viruses and bacteria. If the human body is not used to the bacteria on Quafu, then there is basically no way. It is difficult to automatically evolve an immune system that can fight all the microorganisms of a planet through its own evolution and mutation. Humans are immune to the microorganisms of Pangu because they have coexisted with each other for hundreds of millions of years since our ancestors. This condition does not exist on Quafu. And because Quafu is full of magic power, the microorganisms here should be more powerful. However, for some reason, the humans on Pangu have adapted well to the environment of Quafu. If nothing unexpected happens, it should be related to the three cosmic races of humans, gods, and insects 1.5 million years ago. After the Great War that exterminated the three races, the development history of Pangu Star and the Yanhuang Tri-Star system, including the human beings of Pangu Star, was actually influenced by the three races. The nine-tailed fox, one of the creators of the Magic Planet game, was the optical brain of the human beings in the past. Therefore, it is not too magical for Xiaoming to think that the human beings of Pangu Star can adapt to this planet. Of course, this influence is in the overall situation, and there will always be some small omissions in the details. There are indeed some parasites on Quafu Star that are seriously harmful to humans. There is one near the base. If you are parasitized by this kind of insect, you will inevitably have vomiting and diarrhea, and it will not be cured for more than 10 days. Weak people may die of illness. So Zhu Donghai reminds everyone that you need to pay attention to eating and drinking, don't drink raw water, and don't eat half-cooked food. Once symptoms are found, the base has corresponding medicines. But the number is not large, and it will be troublesome if too many people get sick. At present, prevention is still the best. In addition, there are some poisonous plants and animals on Quafu Star. The reserve forces have already learned about these things on the way here. Now it is nothing more than emphasizing it again. If someone dies as a result, his team leader, and instructor will all be held responsible. This meeting also lasted for a long time. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 1047. The previous meeting was fine, but this medium meeting took a little longer. The three heroes of Xiaopei were a bit like old parents, afraid of forgetting something that they didn't think of or mention, so they took turns to speak on stage. They were earnest and tireless. Sometimes, after they finished speaking, they stayed for a while and thought of something, so they went on stage again to add. It annoyed everyone. Yin Xiaoming patiently listened to the medium meeting. Then there was another small meeting. Humans really can't change this habit of nesting dolls no matter where they go. The big meeting is inside the medium meeting, and the medium meeting is inside the small meeting. The small meeting is divided into three, and the three heroes select a part of the talented reserve team members to hold different meetings. There is no large venue for thousands or hundreds of people in the base. But there are always small venues that can accommodate dozens of people. And there are a lot of them. The three heroes took the talents they had long favored and went to different places for small meetings. Some of them did not attend the meeting just now, but they were notified to go to the meeting place and wait. Being selected from 3,600 people to attend the meeting. These people basically have reserved the quota to become formal soldiers in advance. Even if they attend the meeting about logistics, it is also very good. The work of managing logistics is generally more lucrative. But unless the team members are very talented, the logistics department generally does not recruit people casually. Therefore, only 3 team members were selected by Zhu Donghai, the head of the logistics department, including Tan Guangwen's own clone, 10 Guangguan. He Yufan selected more people for the scientific research department. There are about a dozen team members, who are talented in this aspect. After all, these are graduates from key high schools across the country, and there are not many top students in that school. The last one, Lu Yinan, the people she selected for the security department, are naturally those who perform well in combat. Because Xiao Ming participated in special missions several times during the flight, helping the team to get a higher evaluation. Some of the team members who have teamed up with Xiao Ming have almost all been favored by the military. This is a bit like cheating. But you can't become a formal soldier today, there is always a probation period. It's not a big problem. If you really don't have the ability, you can't get the position. Xiao Ming actually needs to attend the scientific research and security meetings. In terms of scientific research, it's because he Yufan wants to study the matter of attracting light spirits. In terms of security, it's because of his outstanding performance that he has been targeted for a long time. In other places, fighting must give way to scientific research. After all, there are excellent soldiers in the army. There is no shortage of excellent scientific researchers, but what is most lacking is living research subjects like Xiao Ming. It's basically a scorpion poop, one and only. But the situation is different at the Xiaopei base. Fighting is actually more important than scientific research here. Besides, there is another Zhang Xiaoliang on the Mizu Scientific Research Space Station. That's the main force of research. So Xiao Ming was called away by Miao Qing alone and held a micro-meeting with only 2 people. Xiao Ming's affairs were arranged by the highest commander of the base, Lieutenant General Miao Qing. Whoosh, a broadsword came with a whistling sound, slashing at Xiao Ming's waist. Xiao Ming was not panicked, raised his right hand, withdrew a palm, used the Nanshan palm technique, and shook the broadsword away. Good palm technique, Miao Qing praised, without stopping, raised the shield and rushed towards Xiao Ming. Xiao Ming dodged sideways, and when the opponent turned around, he pushed another palm on the shield. This palm used the power-generating technique of the 18 dragon subduing palms, which was hard and soft, and a little effort could move a lot even with the stability of Miao Qing's shield warrior. He was deflected by 3 or 5 steps. Miao Qing was still unbelievable, and suddenly felt another sound of breaking through the air, which was the sound of a hidden weapon. It was Xiao Ming's right foot that kicked several stones on the ground towards Miao Qing in succession. Miao Qing hurriedly returned the shield to block, blocking 7 or 8 subsequent stones, but was hit on the waist by the first 2 stones. Of course, with Miao Qing's B-level physical attributes, he was not injured at all. But he suffered a disadvantage in terms of moves. The few moves just now were fought quickly and quickly. Zhang Xiaoming did not use too much strength, and basically used clever strength. Probably only exerted the strength of less than sea level. It's just that the timing and direction of the moves are very good. It can actually make Miao Qing, who is at B level, suffer a little. Ha ha ha, interesting, come again, Miao Qing said with a hearty laugh. Then he rushed up again with a shield in his left hand and a sword in his right hand. The 2 of them fought ping-pong. This lieutenant general rarely encountered someone who could deal with his strength with martial arts. He became more and more excited as he fought, and wanted to see how many moves Xiao Ming could take. Xiao Ming didn't feel anything. After all, Xiao Ming could see every move and all the intentions of the opponent clearly, and he knew himself and the enemy absolutely. Even if Miao Qing has the attributes of a B-level reincarnation, Xiao Ming can still deal with it with less than C-level strength. Unless Miao Qing uses a big move, Xiao Ming can keep exhausting him until he has no strength. Fighting with his own people, and the opponent is lower than himself, how can the boss of the base use a big move? He can't afford to lose that person. He used his shield to block Xiao Ming's dragon tail swing, and Miao Qing stopped chasing. He put away his sword and shield and laughed, and coughed twice. Just now he said, "Boy, You are good. How did you practice this kung fu? Not bad. From now on, you will follow me. I will call you little brother, and you call me big brother. If Xiaohe and Xiaolu need to find you, go if you want to, don't go if you don't want to, just push it to big brother. If there is a chance in the future, big brother will take you out to hunt in the wild. I will send you a message when there is something, so you should pay attention. Now go back to sleep. After saying that, Miao Qing put the shield on his back and walked away with a big laugh. The 18 dragon subduing palms are extraordinary and powerful. Big brother just received several palms with his shield. He was so shocked that he was a little unstable. Several of his personal soldiers saw this battle and they all looked incredible. It's really a long time to see this. This is the first time someone has dealt with a lieutenant general like this. Seeing that Zhang Xiaoming's strength is not very strong, and his speed is not very fast, but the direction and timing of each attack are extremely accurate. He forced a draw. This is because Xiaoming himself doesn't want to reveal too much, otherwise however, how can a B-level master be Xiaoming's opponent? Xiaoming's strength and speed are certainly below C level, but his eyesight and judgment are both above A level. Even if Xiaoming wants to win with C level strength, he can actually do it. It's just that we are new here, so we have to give the boss of the base some face. A few minutes later, the three heroes who were presiding over meetings in different places received reports from their own soldiers. The three were very shocked. After the shock, some were suspicious, some were relieved, and Lu Yinan showed an eager expression. If she wasn't in a meeting, she would have come out to fight Xiaoming. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 1048. After a fight with big brother Miao Qing, Xiaoming has a big backer in Xiaopei base. This is purely a pleasant surprise. At this time, the camp was readjusted. When landing, the position of the transport ship was very chaotic and inconvenient to manage. Yesterday, the adjustment work was completed and the camp looked orderly. These wooden ox and horse transport ships look very small in space, but they are quite large on the ground. The total volume of 73 ships lined up has exceeded all the original buildings in Xiaopei base. Back to the transport ship number 11,072, came to the warehouse where the game warehouse of the 3013 was stored. Xiaoming noticed that the interior of the transport ship had also been rebuilt. Of course, the reconstruction was very simple, just a simple partition was made, and each group of 10 people shared the same compartment. The sleeping warehouse/game warehouse is the temporary bed for everyone. The base prepared a cabinet for everyone to put things. Such living conditions are really too simple. It's not that the base doesn't want to build houses for everyone, but there were less than 200 people in the base before. These people also have to bear various tasks such as defense, reconnaissance, farming, etc., and they really can't spare any manpower to build houses. The 9th dispatch team has nearly 4,000 people at once, which is sufficient manpower. Building infrastructure in the base will be one of the important tasks of the reserve. The light materials needed to build houses are also lying in the warehouses of the 13 Liama transport ships. These are all later stories. Xiaoming lay in the game cabin and exited the consciousness connection. Turned around and played in the Hunter's secret realm for a night. Originally, according to the plan, I should go to Xiaoming and Xiaoming, but I have been in the Yellow Emperor Galaxy for too long. When Green Xiaoming went out before, these two links were broken. When Yin Xiaoming exited, the consciousness connection channel was not opened again. Let's talk about it later. The next day, at 8 a.m. on September 6, Yin Xiaoming entered the main game on time and logged in as a researcher. There is a reason for choosing this character to log in. At the first time, Xiaoming used the Sand Ninja Puppetry Entry Secret Book and the Sand Ninja Puppet Making Method on the researcher. The researcher is an alchemist and specializes in making puppets. These two secret books are most suitable for him to use. After using this secret book, the researcher obtains the second adventure/combat profession, Naruto, Ninja. Currently, he is an apprentice ninja, 1/10th level. Xiaoming also has a character with a second profession, that is, the Explorer. The Explorer's second profession is a Taoist priest. Currently, he is a level 2 Qi refiner. There is an essential difference between the second adventure profession and the first adventure profession. Having a second profession will open another special energy slot. The Taoist priest's energy slot is spiritual power, the ninja's energy slot is chakra. Special energy naturally corresponds to special moves. The explorer can use Taoism, and the researcher can use ninjutsu in the future. This is not particularly important. As long as Xiaoming is there, even if there is no energy slot, Taoism ninjutsu can still be used. These are only used when Xiaoming is not around and the intelligent program is in charge. This is good, it is not useless. Unfortunately, the upgrade of the second profession will only affect the upper limit of the player character's new energy slot. It has no effect on the character's 5 attributes. Otherwise, it can be more useful. However, Xiaoming also has a doubt. It may be because these second professions are not strong enough. Although the apprentice stage does not increase the attributes, it may increase in the formal career stage. Whether this doubt will come true is still unknown. And not all supernatural energy can become a second profession. Xiaoming still remembers that he used the researcher to open the small universe for his eldest sister Li Huamei, second brother Richard, and old adjutant Yang Ziyu. This made them all have the combat power of Saint Seiya, but there was no second combat profession. Now think about it, it is very strange. Xiaoming thought carefully, there may be 2 reasons. One possibility is that the combat profession of Saint Seiya is not set in the main game at all, which makes players and NPCs unable to take up the job. The other is that some conditions have not been met. As a result, Li Huamei and others only obtained the combat power of the Saint Seiya level, but did not really obtain this profession. Since they did not obtain the second profession, the researcher certainly could not get any benefits. What specific conditions were not met? Xiaoming guessed that it was probably because he had not met the goddess Athena. After all, the Saint Seiya is a warrior who protects the goddess. Without Athena's permission, even if he has similar combat power, he cannot be considered a genuine Saint Seiya. Xiaoming estimated that this possibility is still very high. He couldn't help but complain in his heart, I have become a Saint Seiya in the world of Saint Seiya, and even became an invisible pope. But I am not recognized in the game, which is short-sighted. At this time, the second fleet of the Li family was still sailing on the sea, aiming for the next battlefield. Xiaoming personally descended on the researcher, and the eldest sister and second brother on the ship immediately felt it. The game setting is such that free NPCs generally have intelligence no less than that of humans. And players can use intelligent programs to replace their own operations, which is also allowed by the system. In this case, the system must allow NPCs to accept the exchange of players and intelligent programs. Let this phenomenon become the so-called common sense in the game. In the eyes of NPCs, players and intelligent programs just represent different mental states of the characters. When the player is operating, it is in a full of energy state. When the intelligent program is operating, it will be regarded as depressed. Third brother, you finally cheered up. How about it, do you want to command the next battle yourself? Li Huamei was very happy to see the third brother's energetic appearance. She was about to give up the command of the battle. Forget it, big sister. It's better for you to command such an important battle in person. There will be plenty of opportunities in the future. I think I should transform now and go to Japan to find out the news. What do you think, big sister? Xiaoming had thought about this a long time ago. After thinking about it, he felt that changing his identity to Japan would be more helpful to the Lee family. Haha, you see, big sister. I said that the third brother is a person who understands justice and knows how to take big things seriously. It's true. The second brother Richard is much more cunning than the eldest sister. Seeing that the researcher took the initiative to propose, he quickly said it to the end. Let the researcher regret it. Xiaoming can form an army by himself, and he can pull out dozens of level 7 soldiers to fight with others in a minute. But in terms of naval command, he is definitely not as good as Li Huamei. It is safer for important battles to be led by Li Huamei herself. And the researcher can use the special life skill Ancient Transformation to transform into the half-orc Said and go to Japan to investigate the news of the Ladeo family. He happened to have a carrier pigeon in his hand, so he could keep in touch with Li Huamei. Richard actually wanted to use this advantage a long time ago. However, the researcher has been sluggish. At that time, he didn't dare to send him out as a spy. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 1049. System Prompt. The player researcher accepts the Purple Master level strategic task issued by Li Huamei, the Admiral of the Li family Navy, investigate Ladeo's movements. The researcher must investigate the next strategic and tactical deployment of Ladeo pirates within 1 month. The more detailed the intelligence, the better. On the strategic map, the general action of the player hero is to march and walk around with the large army. When the large army stays in one place, the player character can do some personal activities near the place where the army stays, but cannot leave the large army too far. This kind of personal activity will not consume the action power in the character's strategic attribute, but it will consume the physical strength in the character's adventure attribute. Fortunately, Xiaoming can use source energy to replenish the physical strength, and the strategic action power can only wait for the system to automatically recover. So generally speaking, players stop the troops in the city or near the buildings, so that the characters have a goal to wander around. This is also an opportunity for players to develop tasks. Now the situation is different. Since the researcher has accepted the task issued by Li Huamei, he has obtained permission to move freely away from the large army. Theoretically, this task does not force the researcher to go anywhere to complete it. Xiaoming can take this opportunity to play around the strategic map. He can even go to Europe. But if he fails to complete the task within the specified time, the system will not forgive him. Various punishments will definitely make him regret it. At this time, Xiaoming suddenly had an idea and thought of something. The researcher has a special life skill, time and space jump. It is a way to randomly travel through space without controlling the destination. In fact, it cannot jump on the timeline. This skill even allowed the researcher to jump from the adventure map to the strategic map. It was still very fun. But later, after the researcher gained a foothold on the strategic map, Xiaoming no longer used time and space jump. Why? I was afraid that I would not be able to come back. The team that was finally pulled together would be scattered if the hero did not come back. Xiaoming was reluctant to let it go. However, now the researcher has a treasure in his hand, golden statue of the god of light. This treasure originally belonged to the explorer. Because the explorer accepted the task of going down the mountain to experience issued by Master Gongsun Shen, he could not enter the strategic map for a long time. So he asked the master to help him cast a spell on his 2 strategic treasures, so that they can be used by Xiaoming's other characters. In fact, normal strategic treasures in the game do not need to cast any spells, and players' own characters can use them. You can also rent them to other players or sell them directly to other players through the system program. It's just that the golden statue of the god of light and the ascetic equipment bag are special. They are rewards given to explorers by the ascetic group. There are special restrictions. Originally, they could only be used by the explorer himself, so Gongsun Shen needed to cast a spell, but now they can be lent to other characters for a short period of time. The golden statue of the God of Light has a function called strategic teleportation. The number of people teleported must not exceed 9. There are 4 places that can be teleported. The place where you left the adventure map and strategic map last, as well as Huiyan Town and Pingnan City. With this treasure, the researcher can teleport at will, no matter where you go. As long as you use this function, you can return to Pingnan City. There is a portal between Pingnan City and Funnel City. Funnel City is in Japan, so no matter where the researcher goes, he can be teleported back to do the task. So, the researcher can now wander around freely. Of course, the first step is that Xiaoming still uses the ability of the golden statue to teleport the researcher to Pingnan City, and then to Funnel City. Release 6 7-stars shadow clones, with 60 ordinary shadow clones, to collect intelligence from all over Japan. After all, collecting intelligence does not necessarily require one to do it in person. Having the clones is enough. Then transformed into the half-orc Saeed and used the time and space jump skill. Since I don't know what will happen, it's better to use someone else's identity. Don't make too many enemies for the researcher. The researcher's ancient transformation technique can only transform into 3 identities at present, namely the half-orc Saeed, the fishman Alfonso, and the Batman Wanyan Hui. In comparison, half-orcs are more common. Easier to be accepted. 71% of Pangu's surface is ocean, and the same is true in the main game of Magic Planet. The researcher jumped 3 times in a row, and each time he jumped into the sea. I don't know if it is a strategic map or an adventure map. Once he was right on the sea surface, once he was in deep water, and once he fell from a high altitude into the sea. Xiaoming regretted it a little. If he had known this, he should have transformed into the fishman Alfonso. Of course, this is just talk. With his ability, he can survive by taking out a small boat from the bright summit, and there is no real danger. If he suddenly appeared in the market as a fishman, that would be really troublesome. The time-space jump skill has a 30-minute cooldown after each use. Anyway, I'm free anyway, so Xiaoming took this opportunity to study the puppetry of the Sand Ninja. The Sand Ninja's method of operating puppets is relatively simple. Use 10 fingers to release the silk thread condensed by chakra, connect the puppet for control. The number of chakra threads required for different puppets is also different. An expert can control a puppet with 1 chakra thread. In other words, operating 10 puppets at the same time is already the limit for the Sand Ninja. Moreover, puppets have strengths and weaknesses, and the operation techniques are also high and low. If you roughly operate 10 puppets at the same time, you may not be able to beat a single puppet that is operated very finely. Xiaoming had heard of the reputation of Scorpion of the Red Sand in the Akatsuki organization before. But he didn't know that Scorpion could break through the limit of 10 puppets and operate hundreds of puppets at the same time, known as 100 machines operation. This name is inexplicably a bit dirty. However, Xiaoming's ability is not weaker than Scorpion of the Red Sand. Xiaoming has plenty of fingers. Xiaoming's various clones have 10 fingers, and it should be no problem for the shadow clone to operate the puppet. Iron-blooded Neza, hot-blooded Neza, hot-blooded Muja, these equipment are made of liquid metal, which can change into countless fingers. If in reality, Green Xiaoming has the ability to control his body, he can also make countless hands at any time. This ability was obtained from the Chimera ant's personal guard Yuppie. It is equivalent to the effect of half a flower fruit. With these skills as a foundation, Xiaoming can easily control thousands of puppets, let alone hundreds. The most exciting thing is that operating a puppet requires a high level of mental power. If the brain is not enough, I am afraid that even a single puppet cannot be operated well. Scorpion is a gifted and genius puppet operator. Xiaoming has super strong mental power and can crush this genius. For example, Scorpion is a martial arts master, while Xiaoming drives a Gundam. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 1050. After using the two secret books, the researcher did obtain the two skills: Basic Sand Ninja Puppet Operation Technique and Basic Sand Ninja Puppet Making Technique. However, these two skills are adventure skills. In principle, they cannot be used in strategic maps. However, the researcher himself has the racial talent Intermediate Puppet Research and Development, which allows these two skills to be used in strategic maps. However, the researcher's ninja level is only a level 1 apprentice ninja. At this stage, the researcher cannot bring too much effect to the Sand Ninja Puppet technique. If you want a good effect, you have to rely on Xiaoming's own performance. In fact, operating puppets is relatively simple. All the detailed techniques are meaningful only when chakra and mental power are insufficient or limited. Xiaoming has strong chakra and mental power, so he does not need to do too much research in this regard. With his hard power, he can operate a large number of Sand Ninja puppets very well. On the contrary, he needs to work harder in the production of puppets. The first Sand Ninja puppet was not made by Xiaoming himself, but was made automatically using the skills of the researcher. Primary Sand Ninja puppet making technique consume a certain amount of chakra, energy, and materials to make a 0-1 level Sand Ninja puppet. After using the skill, the first puppet obtained is only a 0-2 level puppet. The combat power is very weak. At this stage, even a first-level puppet is not very useful to Xiaoming. So if you want to use this ability, Xiaoming must make a high-level puppet himself. And if you want to make a high-level puppet, you must first master the skills of making puppets. Only then can you make a high-level puppet. This requires that you must make it by hand, and it is meaningless to use skills to directly synthesize puppets. In this case, there is not enough space for a small boat. The researcher pulled out a large battleship from Guangmingding. It doesn't drive away, just let it float on the sea. The researcher on the battleship, along with dozens of shadow clones, are personally making sand puppets. Sand puppets are different from the puppets made by alchemists. Puppets are soldiers that can fight automatically, while sand puppets must be operated by the user. So sand puppets are props and do not occupy command power. However, they need to occupy storage space. Fortunately, Xiaoming's bright summit in the game is very large. After each space-time jump, Xiaoming uses the 30-minute skill cooldown time to practice making sand puppets. With dozens of shadow clones practicing together, the production technology is getting better and better. More and more low-level puppets are made. Xiaoming did not abandon them, maybe they will come in handy someday. After 3 consecutive space-time jumps, they all jumped into the sea, and an hour and a half passed. After the third jump, Xiaoming was a little impatient. You can't spend all your time on the researcher's space-time jump. This actually depends on luck. Xiaoming secretly thought, if the fourth jump is still boring, I will switch to other characters to change the environment. Relax. Put away the shadow clone, puppet, and the large warship under his feet. The researcher used time and space jump again. This time he was down to earth, but the location was a small island. The sea can be seen everywhere. The island is bare, not even a blade of grass grows. I wonder if the passing birds will be willing to rest here. It is estimated that it is very difficult. As long as the sea water rises a little, the island will be submerged under the water. Xiaoming feels bored. Since I have made an oath, I must abide by it. Xiaoming plans to leave the researcher on this small island and let the intelligent program manage it. Suddenly I remembered that it is not the right time. The researcher's adventure level at this time is the maximum level of level 2 and level 30. I should go to the adventure map to accept the promotion task. Alas, there is no way. Xiaoming used the golden statue to teleport to Pingnan City. The temple in Pingnan City is the Temple of the Dead, which cannot be used by the researcher. However, this map has now been upgraded to level 1, and the system has spawned a universal temple in the map. According to the rules, unless it is an abandoned place, even a level 0 map must have at least one universal temple. Players in the map must have a function to switch to the adventure map. The universal temple is not close to Pingnan City, but with Xiaoming's ability, he can open a portal with a golden halo and go there. It takes less than 3 seconds. After entering the temple, he changed back to the appearance of a researcher and went to Tanshan City on the adventure map. The question is, since Xiaoming's mental power can cover the world and can use the portal to move instantly, why does he still have to use time and space jump to try his luck? Where Xiaoming wants to go, just use mental power to scan that location, and then teleport there, isn't it? The situation is like this. In the main game, there are masters like clouds and strong people like stars. It may not be worse than Pangu Star. On Pangu Star, Xiaoming didn't dare to use mental power to sweep everywhere, for fear of angering the super strong. Not to mention in the main game. Xiaoming has tried it before. Every time when Xiaoming uses the map scan, he can sense the presence of a strong person if his mental power is not released far enough. As a result, Xiaoming dare not continue to advance. Besides, there are gods in the background of this world. What if he offends the gods? So Xiaoming dare not be so reckless. Once it comes to mental power, Xiaoming will never forget that he almost caused the collapse of the Tsukuyomi world because he used Tsukuyomi on Urameshi Yuzuki. Xiaoming is not afraid of physical attacks. He won't die anyway, it's just a character. But in terms of spirit, once there is a problem, even the main body may be affected. Of course, there is another more important reason. Random time and space jumps make Xiaoming feel that there will always be surprises. He never knows where he will jump to next time. This feeling of unknown is the greatest fun. As soon as he stepped into the hall of the temple in Danshan City, the researcher saw many familiar people. The most obvious one was his two elf guards, Alan Hongyi and Annie Hongyi, who were waiting for him. This is normal. However, why did he meet that group of little gangster players for the third time? There is no way. Danshan City is a small city with a small population and a small area, and the number of players is actually limited. The temple has a large flow of people. Players come here frequently, so it is not uncommon to meet them. Last time, they ambushed a shadow clone of the researcher in Danshan City, but the shadow clone killed them all with a fire release, head hardship. Seeing the driller now, several people were horrified and turned to run away, fearing to be eliminated again. After running for several steps, they remembered that this was a temple and no one could take action in the temple. They were actually safe. It would be dangerous to run away. So they hesitated and stopped, watching the driller from a distance but not daring to approach. Xiaoming ignored them and walked straight towards the temple manager.